Welcome, everybody, to the streets of Grant Park. Chicago, Illinois, downtown, welcomes the HTL Cup Series for the very first time here Monday, November 3rd, 2025. It is HTL Racing on ABN. We're glad you're with us here for what should be a pretty interesting race, to say the least. If the season has given any indication as to how this race might go, it's going to be very physical. There'll be a lot of damage in the field tonight. For the first time taking on a street course, and it is a difficult one. Grant Park, a little over 2 miles a lap around Grant Park. It is difficult, it is bumpy, it is every bit as challenging as people can assume it would be. And this is the field that struggled at the wide open space of Willow Springs a month and a half ago. We had 231 off-tracks in California for that race in Willow Springs. The chance for off-tracks today is 0. I'm glad you're with us to explore the chaos and the calamity here in downtown Chicago. Points going into this race are beginning to ramp up here. Bren Roberts, top of the board once again. Mark Kissenweather, with his race win last week in Texas, helps secure his position in the playoffs coming up here in the new year. Patrick Oberstadt, his 2 race wins keep him pretty lofty in that top 12. Pacey Wygen also top 12 at the moment, sitting 4th with a race win in hand as well. Those marked in the cyan, that lighter blue shade, are drivers with race wins this season. That is important, especially looking further on outside the top 12. The top 12, though, is locked in based on points. So the race wins don't necessarily matter right now if you're in this top 12 screen. Stephen Oberstadt in a good spot right now. Tucker Sawyer, Eli Sasek, Josh Susi, Shad Swatsworth, your Daytona 500 winner. He sits in the top 10. Byron Jones, Zach Meredith, Matt Vorndren. That lower edge of the top 10 and that top 12 is where the shuffling in and out has been so far through the first 8 races. The conversation gets more interesting right here. Lily Sharp, Josh Stoltz, Jeremy Braille, Josh Arnold, top 16. This is where the wild cards come into play. Zach Apperson has a race win. He jumps into the top 16 with a race win. It bumped Josh Arnold out, as if the playoffs were to start today, Arnold would be out of the championship running. Lily Sharp, not here tonight, will not be present. 18 car being filled by Josh Gaiman. Josh Stoltz missed out on Texas last week due to suspension. He's back in action here tonight. Jeremy Braille in action as well. Cody Pennell outside looking in on the top 16. Bailey Thompson the outside looking in. Dean Clavitt, Davis Mills Jr. You start looking at some of these drivers that are further down that could grab a race win and move themselves into a better spot. Davis Mills Jr. 21st right now. Definitely possible of getting a race win. We've seen it. He finished 3rd in Texas a week ago. More names that are very interesting outside the top 24 right now. Hunter Peach in 27th. We know for a fact that he can win races here. It's a matter of when for the 20 car. Dustin Hall, if he pulls out a surprise and grabs a race win, that shakes things up as well. Josh Gaiman could do so as well. Remember, he's got 5 race wins to his own accord. A lot of things possible here as we look through the top 36. Qualifying is underway here at Chicago. It is open qualifying. Mark Kissenweather right now leads the top of the board with about 1:30 left on the clock. His lap time right now, his best lap time at 1:28.136. That has been the time to beat for pole position. Tucker Sawyer, no surprise, along with him up there on the front row. Tucker Sawyer, his most recent lap time, not great, but he's in traffic right now. He's sitting in 2nd place, though, as Henderson goes for a spin. He's going to have a rough day today, and that's going to be disappointing for him because the momentum that he's carrying off of a top 10 for the first time this season in Texas. Josh Susi also went for a spin, and he needs a good result. He had a very disappointing race in Texas last Monday. Filling in in the 96 is Bobby Blowers for Olivia Pereira. Pereira traveling. Blowers coming in the 96 car, sitting right now third fastest for Josho Racing as things sit. Josh Gaiman right now certainly on pit lane. He is not in the number 61 car. Unfortunately, that is an error. He is the substitute for Lily Sharp, who is missing today. But unfortunately, we're not able to fix that in time, so he'll still be labeled with 61 in the overlay, but he is filling in for the 18 for the Owners' Championship purposes. Also filling in today, Caitlin Height in the 31. Not someone we expected to see on the racetrack this early, but filling in for David Smudo Jr. and goes fourth fastest on the board there. So pretty strong effort there for Caitlin Height. And along in that Chevrolet. 27 drivers at lap times so far. Dale Markowski, Austin Mongold, Matt Thorndren, Brandon Roberts. Not been lack of trying there for the 83 car. But he has not been successful in setting lap times so far, the Maryland native. Talk about how difficult this racetrack is. Off tracks invalidate lap times. Here at Chicagoland, any taps of the wall invalidate lap times. This is his 10th lap on the racetrack here, trying to go and set a lap time. Richard Odie set the 27th fastest lap time. Roberts got close to the wall there on the final corner. Comes across the line. Is that a good enough time to get on the board? It is, 17th fastest. He'll jump up into the top 20 here. 35 cars, though, present for tonight's race. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. It will be Mark Kissenweather and Tucker Sawyer at the front of the field. Bobby Blowers and Josh Stoltz in row 2. Caitlin Height and Pacey Wygent, row 3. Josh Susi and Josh Gaiman, row 4. Bailey Thompson in the top 10 for the first time in qualifying alongside Jeremy Breo, who will complete row 5 as the qualifying session comes to a close. 35 cars. Expect several drivers to start from the pit lane. Expect carnage immediately, whether it's coming to the green flag or into turn 1 is going to be difficult. These are 3,500-pound stock cars that struggled in real life here at Chicago in different ways, whether it was in the rain or sun. It was going to be difficult. Warm-up underway. Drivers get one last chance to sort of tune themselves into this racetrack and dial in. Toronto, the first one to hit the racetrack. Chicago Street Circuit, 2.14 miles, 12 turns here around the streets of Grant Park. Never been run before in HTL. It's been run in ABN Champ Car on 2 different occasions. The first time for HTL. 2 stages. There are stage cautions here on road courses in HTL. So lap 15, there'll be a caution. Lap 30, there'll be a caution. Do not be surprised if there's a caution before that point for a track blockage situation that is expected. See all the cars that are driving in deep here in the braking zones. That is going to be a normal occurrence here in Chicago. Obviously, this calendar was put together with a little more optimism in mind. We've seen Willow Springs, we've seen the ovals. This is going to be a nasty race for those. So this is your sort of viewer discretion is advised. This will not be a fantastic race. Everyone knows that. Maybe that psychs everyone out into driving under the limit for the first time this season. Doubtful. But that's what we're seeing right now. Pit speed, 45 mile an hour. Your fuel mileage gets you easily to about lap 22, lap 25, depending on how you shift with these cars. So you shouldn't need, realistically, you shouldn't need to come down pit lane during the 2 stages before the final but we'll find out. Everyone looking forward to greener pastures after today's race. The borders of Chicago will be in the rearview mirror after tonight. Charlotte Motor Speedway, the PFL 500, next Monday. Then we go to Atlanta for the Henderson Graphics 400 on November 17th. November 24th, we go to Pocono. And then the start of December, it is the Charity 350 at Kentucky Speedway, followed by some road course racing at Sebring for the first time. We go from one bumpy racetrack that's difficult to another in 6 weeks' time. You see everyone struggling. Josh Searcy is struggling. Henderson's been struggling. Josh Arnold's been struggling. How this all plays out. Caleb Height in that bare bones 31 filling in for KJ Gibney. So we have two Heights on the racetrack once again for the first time this season. Caitlin qualified pretty well. Qualified top 10 with ease. You see that car's already been in the fence once in this warm-up session. Warm-up session. Not many lap times have been on the board. Caitlin Height's one of the three that have been on the board so far. Cars begin to put times on the board, it looks like. Casey Wygent just got on the board, and we'll jump to the top. Vanel also getting on the board in that Jack Daniels number 8. And immediately gets clobbers Bobby Blowers in the 96. Blowers, remember, he was one of those that qualified top 4. He qualified third for this race. So he's struggling as well with turn 1. Turn 1's going to be an issue. Turn 2 will be an issue as well. Turn 5. Turn 8. Turns 9 and 10. The tiptoe around the fountain will be an issue. Caitlin Height goes top of the board once again to clear out the warm-up session here. And that will end warm-up, and practice will be completed. Everything that's left here is in the race itself as we get ready to go into showtime here in Chicago. Again, we're glad you're with us here for the Chicago 220 here in Grant Park. It is time for us to get down to business. So let's get into the starting grid here in Chicago. Mark Kissenweather, Tucker Sawyer will be at the front of the field. No surprise there. Two of the best road course racers that are full-time in the series at the front of the field. Bobby Blowers filling in for Olivia Pereira in the 96 car will be starting alongside his teammate, Josh Stoltz, who will make up row number 2. Caitlin Height in row 3 alongside Pacey Wygent. Very crowded ascent in Joshua Racing top 6. Josh Searcy and Josh Gamos, the Josh and Josh show, row 4 in the top 8 there. The top 10 rounded out by Bailey Thompson to the inside, Jim Braille on the outside lane. Both of them needing good races. They're on the outside looking in at the top 12, especially Thompson sitting on the outside looking in. Braille in the top 16, but barely. He's 15th in points. Davis Moon Jr., Hunter Peach, they're in row number 6. Remember, Peach has missed a couple races this season. He's well down in the points order. He needs a good points day. It needs it to come in a hurry. Chicago's a great place to start that with the chaos that's expected. Eli Sasek, Elias Flores qualified row 7th, 13th and 14th on the grid there for the teammates for Ascent. Cody Pinnell and Randy Payne, two rookies in row number 8. Cody Pinnell's raced here before, raced here in the HTL Cup Series. Bren Roberts, Chad Wadsworth in row number 9. Patrick Oberstadt and Kevin Feimster in row 10. This is not a racetrack that Carolina Beagle Racing was excited for under any circumstances. That is very apparent. They sort of scavenge what you can and move on to Rider Pasture. Charlotte is next Monday. Callie Height outside the top 20. Not what we were expecting from the 87. This is one of her favorite racetracks. Expecting her to move forward in the field tonight. Mark Parkhurst alongside her in 22nd on row 11. Zach Apperson, Dean Clavitt make up row number 12. Apperson, a race winner this season, won at Talladega. He's got that in his back pocket. Dean Clavitt still looking for his first race win in over 3 years. Josh Arnold and Blake Henderson in row 13, trying to get through and be done with this race. Not road course experts by any stretch of the imagination. Anything north of 20th will be a win for these two drivers here tonight. Same can be said for Dustin Hall, whose last couple seasons have been no good, very bad for the number 1 team. He starts in row 14, 27th alongside Richard Odie. The New York native starts 28th. Blake Galloway, Zach Meredith in row 15, 29th and 30th for them. Look at some of the drivers that have not set lap times here. Matt Vondren, Stephen Oberstadt, that was by design. They're waiting to scavenge some points off of those that messed up in turn 1. There's going to be several, just a matter of who. Dale Markowski, Austin Mongold, same agenda in mind, starting from pit lane today. They're already ready to go. And the last car in the field doing the exact same thing, Alfred Denny. Did not even attempt to qualify. Doesn't need to. He stopped 16 on points right now, and everyone's stepping over each other in the first stage. We'll give him a chance to get some of those spots back. Of course, we're excited to be here in Chicago. Regardless of what this race is going to turn into, it is a challenging racetrack. The best win across this race. 60 laps is no small task here in Grant Park. The drivers know that. And they can't escape it now at this point. They're on the racetrack. They've got to get through it. 35 cars, all fighting something tonight. Pace car pulls into pit lane as we wait and wait and wait for the green flag. Here we go. Green flag flies, and away we go. We're racing in Chicago. And Sawyer got a really good launch on that first corner. Car spun. That's the 19. And Caitlin Height got some massive damage off the 19 car. First race back for Caitlin Height. It's not been pleasant, losing spots in a hurry. 19 car, that was Josh Gaiman. Minimal incidents, though, through the first half of the lap so far. Tucker Sawyer leads the way over Josh Stoltz, Marcus Weather, Pacey Wygen, and Bobby Blowers. And everyone dancing into the second half of the lap here, the most challenging part of the lap coming up. Everyone tiptoeing at the moment. Caitlin Height's going to have to come down pit lane to repair some of that damage. That car completely torn up on the front end with that contact with the 19, her former teammate, Josh Gaiman. Hot off the heels of winning a Super Formula Championship, a team's championship with Christina Ryan. And the whole racing league coming back racing on a road course. Hoping to have the same success, will not be the case. Comes down pit lane. 45 miles an hour for Caitlin Height. And Josh Gaiman will have the same issue. Battle at the front of the field. Josh Stoltz looking for the race lead. The 95 goes to the point. Tucker Sawyer slow out of turn 1. Slow out of turn 2. Goes from first to third. Stoltz, the rookie, leads the way. Kisselweather in second. Down through turn 5 and 6. Car in the fence with a lot of damage is the 91, Randy Payne. Florida native. Huge front end damage. Trying to just tiptoe through turn 5 and 6 and stay out of the driver's way. He's also going to make a trip down pit lane. Callie Height stepping around Elias Flores. You see the damage on Flores' car. A mistake allowing Callie Height to move up a spot. Callie Height's now up 8 spots. Qualified outside the top 20, currently sitting in 13th in the 87 car. Was taken out of Texas due to a technical issue, a technical failure on the 87. Was in a good position there as well. Was not able to see it through. Hoping to see it through here in Chicago. Right now sitting 13th, right in between Sasek and Flores. Just outside the top 10. Trouble cars, trouble further down the order. Everyone trying to avoid Richard Odie, who's towed. And there's damage on that 83 car. Let's see what happened here. Meredith just wheel hops it in. It's hit by Mark Parkhurst there. Henderson joins them. That is the turn 1 parking lot that we see so often. There is Bren Roberts, 83. He's sitting now in the 21st spot. Meredith's had more struggles here. He is well deep, and that is in turn 11, where he has gone off and used the access road there. So now he's behind Dale Markowski in 26th. Again, we said it at the top of the show, and it's going to be a constant reminder. Everyone's struggling here tonight. Josh Stoltz leads the way. Mark Kissenweather sits in second there. You saw the brake disc glowing on the 2 car. Hot on the brakes and hot on the heels of the 95. As they roll around the fountain. Course turn 11, here we go. 4 cars under a blanket here. Stoltz, Kissenweather, Sawyer, Flowers, your top 4. Bailey Thompson up to 5th as things currently sit. Callie Height, due to all the melee, all the drama as Stoltz runs wide, the pressure gets to the 95. Kissenweather to the point, and significant damage to the right front corner of the 95 for Josh Stoltz, the rookie. On lap 5, throws away the race lead after getting out of lap 2. Davis Meal in a little bit of trouble getting passed by Hunter Peach. Josh Stoltz throws it into the fence and tows. And that's his day done. It moves Callie Height into the top 9. Elias Sasek in 10th. Elias Flores behind him in 11th. Pacey Wige at 12th. Cody Pinnell 13th. All of them in this group just behind Callie Height. Spotsworth in 14th, a little bit further back. Everyone just trying to survive and hang on here. Bailey Thompson's had an issue. Went wide. Just now rolling once again. but has lost several spots out of the top 5 down to 8 for Bailey Thompson. Pass by Braille, pass by Smeal, pass by Peach. And trouble for the leaders. That is Sawyer, that is Kissenweather. Bobby Blowers now has the race lead. The 2 cars trying to get back going in the right direction, going backwards, going in reverse. Trying to find a space to be able to turn around. Callie Height almost runs into him. He is just trying to get out of the way so he can get this car turned back around. Everyone else sees him coming. He's going to try to get that car pointed in the right direction. He does so, but he's down in 16th and will lose more spots if he needs to come down pit lane, and it looks like he might. Sawyer lost a couple spots. He is down in 4th place. And it looks like the two might have gotten together. That's a lot of front end damage for the 97. It is Blowers, Susie, and Braille, your top 3. With Sawyer in 4th. Kissenweather, your pole sitter, down in 16th place on lap 6. And here's a look at what happened. That's nothing Tucker Sawyer could do there. Blowers did get a piece of it off the 2 car. The 2 car just drove in deep there in turn 2. That is all in turn 2 where all that is located. This is what we saw with Kissenweather, was just the struggle to try to get that car pointed in the right direction with oncoming traffic. So Sawyer now in 4th place. It is Blowers at the front of the field in the 96 car. Car typically piloted by Olivia Pereira, who is out today traveling. This is a car that qualified on pole for the Daytona 500 at the start of the season, but has not lived up to any of that claim so far through the first 7 races. Here in race 8, Bobby Blowers coming in as a substitute driver. We know how good he has been in HTL. He's got race wins of his own accord. We look at his HTL stats going into this: 4 poles, a race win in the Cup Series, on top of his accolades in the Truck Series. 5 top 5s, 16 top 10s out of 41 starts going into today. Not a bad track record for the relief driver there. Bobby Blowers right now has a 4-second gap over the rest of the field at the moment as things stand. You can see the gap there from 1st to 2nd. There's Josh Susie. We talked about him needing a good race so far. He's had that. Qualified in the top 10, qualified 7th. And by means of just keeping it clean, has moved up into the podium spots early on here. Braille sitting in 3rd, also having a decent race. Braille also racing before, was a part of the HTL Cup Series race here for ARCS a couple of years ago at Chicago. So there are some drivers that have experience here around the streets of Grant Park. Top 5 on an island in the 54 car for NFG Motorsports. David Smeal Jr. right now sits top 5 on an island. Hunter Peach right now sitting in 6th. Bailey Thompson sitting right now in the 7th spot, trying to avoid any more mistakes. Callie Height from 21st to 8th as things sit at the moment. Currently your biggest mover in this race is the 87, up those 13 spots, trying to keep Pacey Wygen at bay. Talk about Callie Height. This is a track she was looking forward to on the calendar. Road course ace. Her accolades at ABN, pretty outstanding on the road courses. Her top 5s in HTL have all been on road courses as well. So we know what's possible from Callie Height here, and we're seeing a little bit of that right now. Pacey Wygen in 9th. Eli Sasek in 10th. Elias Flores in 11th. Ascent Racing, a team more renowned for road course racing than oval racing. That's been pretty apparent through their exploits in ABN, in HTL. and everything beyond. But they've had two of their cars completely fumble a chance to lead the race here. Tucker Sawyer just grabbed second place, though. And that is on the road. Susie had an issue. Brayo got around Susie. Susie lost 2 spots, and Sawyer now clear in second. Remember, he's got damage on the nose of that number 97 machine that he's going to get taken care of during the stage break. Right now, things getting shaken up pretty heavily in the Owners' Championship side of things. Bobby Flowers now looking to lap cars here on lap 9. That is the pace discrepancy, the talent discrepancy, the skill gap on road courses. That is Alfred Denny going a lap down, as did Stephen Oberstadt. And Austin Mongol next to go a lap down here. 6 to go in stage 1. Car coming out of pit lane, I do believe that was Zach Meredith. Flowers trying to keep Sawyer at bay. Remember, Owners' Championship and Drivers' Championship standings are a little bit different. With the drivers, obviously, it's the points that they score individually across the season. Owners' Championship, it is by car. So the 96 car, which has not performed well with Carrera behind the wheel, could really shake things up right now if Flowers ended up winning this race. And it's not out of the realm of possibility. Flowers has been perfect so far in these first 10 laps. Not many can say that they have been. Really, when you look at drivers that have driven to near perfection, you look at Flowers, you look at Braille, you look at Callie Height, those two are kind of it. Battle side by side, and this is Callie Height getting back around. Casey Wygen, it looks like. No, Eli Sasek, who made a mistake going into turn number 8. Casey Wygen goes through for 9th, Sasek in 10th, so still a pretty crowded group there. And trouble, Tucker Sawyer. Sawyer, oh, that's significant damage. Significant damage. He's got to go around. He's got to go around. He cannot come down pit lane. He was trying to do so. Issue for Tucker Sawyer. We'll take a look at what happened to the 97. That has got a lot more damage to it. And he just saw he hit the wall in turn 1. He's going to have to tow. This is what happened around the fountain. Does he just overshoot it? 100% he does, and he clobbers that wall hard. And it hits it again here. And I don't think anyone's going to have anywhere to go. Nope. Mongol trapped. So he is in some significant trouble here, and he has had to tow. So that is Tucker Sawyer right now, one of your favorites to try to win this race effectively out of contention and dropping out of the top 20 after having to tow. Could not make it back to pit lane safely under his own terms after qualifying on the front row. There's Flowers coming around here now with a 12-second buffer to anyone next to him. Josh Susie in second, David Smoot Jr. up to third once again. Bailey Thompson, Callie Height making it up to the top 5. Thanks in part to the first mistake by Jeremy Braille today. Braille looped it, did not make any contact with the wall, kept it going. He's in 6th. But like with Kissing Weather earlier, had to find space to get that car turned back around. Still in the 6th spot. Callie Height now up in the top 5. Trying to hold on to it here. Again, stage break at the end of lap 15. Flowers is driven a superb race so far. Callie Height trying to stay in the top 5. There's Ray up behind. And then the Ascent cars of Flores and Sasic and Wygent all there in tow. And then Cody Pinnell in the 10th spot. A lot of experience here at Chicago outside the top 5, as well as inside the top 5 with Callie Height. We talk about chaos races. This is one of those races where you can see some upsets happening here. And this will do a lot of damage to the points order before we head to Charlotte for the BSL 500 next Monday. Blake Anderson had a little bit of spin in the first half of the lap in turn 2, and he's got some damage on that 25 car as a result. Everyone just trying to hang on to get to the stage break here in a couple laps. But he is struggling right now. He is in the 20th spot. I believe he has the last car of the lap down. Nope, sorry, it's Klavik's last car on the lead lap. And Klavik's going to go a lap down pretty easily here. Flowers keeping it pretty precise. Millimeter perfect there out of turn 7. But he rolls through. Now around the fountain here in Grant Park. Cars dropping like flies from the 35 that started this race. Richard Odie's day is done. He's effectively last here. Randy Payne in 34th. Josh Stoltz's race is done. He is 33rd. Dustin Hall in pit lane in 32nd. Tucker Sawyer's day is done, 31st. And a squandered opportunity for Tucker Sawyer to try to grab a race win. His next best opportunity, Sebring in 6 weeks. And that's cutting it close. Zach Meredith still rolling at the race on the racetrack at this point. Same as Blake Galloway. Caitlin Height still rolling as well in 28th. Henderson goes a lap down. And any momentum that they had from Texas is gone. Flowers, though, injecting some life into a Joshua racing team and an Ascent racing team that has been pretty drift and void of energy so far this season. This team has underperformed at a significant pace, not just the 96, but across the board. The 95 has not looked great. The 9, the 99 have not looked great. The 91, obviously, rookie driver Randy Payne, that's been a struggling issue. This is a team that has expanded out to 8 cars, and all 8 have been underperforming so far this season. Fire Flowers injecting some life into the campaign. Pacey Wygent, I should sort of clarify there, Pacey Wygent for Joshua Racing has sort of been the bright spot for that team. He's already got a race win. It's hard to consider Wygent being a part of that team because he's been the only driver consistently good in Ascent this season. Flowers, former teammates with Wygent once upon a time, also showing that he's got the sauce as we come across white flag in stage 1. And he has he's got an 11-second gap, taking it easy, taking on the lap traffic here, trying to maneuver around some of these cars. No need to fight it too awful hard here. He knows he's got the stage win pretty well wrapped up here. Trouble, car in the fence, that's Henderson. Overdrove it heavily. That car significantly wounded. Turn 7 for Flowers. See where everyone's at the moment. Racetrack there on your screen. cars coming around turn 11 to turn 12. Right behind Steven Oberstadt. Bama putting him another lap down. That will not be the case as he gets to start finish line, and there you go. Yellow flag comes out, and we'll pick up the 96. Josh Susi in second. Bailey Thompson ends up third in the stage, getting around Davis Muir Jr. for the third spot. Davis Muir Jr. in fourth. Callie Height rounds out your top 5 in stage number 1. Jimmy Braille, Eli Sasek, Elias Flores, Cody Pinnell, and Mark Kissenweather round out your top 10. Pacey Wygant, smart move to try to get some drive position, came down pit lane on lap 12. He will cycle to the front of the field when everyone else makes their pit stops to end stage number 1. Stage 1 in the books. We had 18 cars on the lead lap, all the way down to Wygant there in 18th. First car a lap down is the 43 of Dean Clappett. He will get the free pass to move back onto the lead lap. You see him in that snap-on car, the white and red machine further back on the front straightaway. The pace car picks up the 96 to begin the caution cycle, which means pit lane will open this time around for all the cars on the lead lap. We told you it was going to be a violent and chaotic and calamitous race, and it's been every part of it. Not been that way for Bobby Blowers. His competition has given him full control of the racetrack out of reckless abandon, and he has taken it with full force. You're looking for his second career HTL Cup Series race win, untouchable in stage 1, and grabs the maximum stage points in the 96 car for Josho Racing. Pit stops incoming here in Chicago in stage 1. We talked about the pit windows here in Chicago. You're not going to really need them in stage 1 or 2. You will need a pit stop in stage 3, though, with how things are looking at the moment. See how that plays out later on. Again, Pacey Wygant, 18th place. Last car on lead lap, came down the pit lane with the express intent of getting to the front of the field for stage 2. Joining his longtime partner, his friend, on that front row if everything goes right on pit lane. See how this plays out here. We'll come down the pit lane. Remember, this is lead lap cars only this lap. Lap cars will come around the next time. It's going to be a prolonged caution. See, Clavitt will step outside and will get his free pass to move back onto the lead lap. He will come down the pit lane on the way back through. Pacey Wygen also came down pit lane, so elected not to go for the strategy pull to try to get to the front of the field, and you see the damage on that 00 car. I have a feeling, now looking at it, that his move to come down pit lane was not a strategy call on lap 12, but something that he is still paying the price for at the moment. Flowers pit stop as perfect as you can get it. So is Bailey Thompson. Will start on the front row. Eli Sasek third, David Smeal Jr. in fourth. Mark Parkhurst ends up in the top 5. Car's not looking great. That Klondike machine sitting in the top 5, but it doesn't need to. Ultimately. And actually, I think we're getting reports here that he was on pit lane. So that is a valid pit stop. 14 seconds on the pit lane. 14.87 was the pit stop time. Davis Smeal Jr. spent some time getting repairs done. 26.58 seconds was his stop to 54. And you see how much damage is going on right now. 9 cars out on the racetrack here. Everyone else on pit lane getting damage repaired. Wygant, Gaiman, Braille, Peach, Flores, Roberts, Swathworth, Height, Clavin, Vorendren. All still on the pit lane. Obviously, Clavin is now coming down pit lane. So everyone having a rough time. We're getting ready to see the lights go on the pace car. There it goes. One lap to him. Step aside for a moment for a word from one of HTL's longtime sponsors. We'll get ready to go racing for stage 2. It's going to be a very abbreviated stage 2, with stage 2's caution coming out at the end of lap 30. It was about 11 laps of racing. Welcome back, everyone, to the HTL Cup Series Chicago 220. Stage 2 about to be underway here. For those watching side by side alongside with Monday Night Football, the Cowboys just scored. The Dallas Cowboys facing the Arizona Cardinals, trying to put that game within a field goal. 7-10 in the first half there on Monday Night Football on ESPN. We've had some good old-fashioned brawling here on the streets of Chicago in stage number 1. Stage 2 coming up here. 11 laps, a little more abbreviated compared to stage 1. But we're expecting a very similar amount of calamity compared to the opening stage that saw most of the field goal lap down. We now have 20 cars on the lead lap as things sit. Caitlin Height, the 31 car, getting the wave around here, will be 20th on the racetrack here after being involved in an accident. Lap number 1 with Josh Gaiman, former teammates there. Gaiman in 22nd, a lap down exact. So we have 20 cars total on the lead lap. It is Bobby Blowers and Bailey Thompson at the front of the field. Eli Sassick, Davis Buick Jr., Cody Pennell, Mark Parkhurst, Mark Kissenweather, Zach Apperson, Jeremy Braille, and Josh Susie. Your top 10 as we get ready to go racing here for stage 2. As the field rolls around, green flag flies, and away we go. Everyone trying to dance through turns 1 and 2 and does so. We're just browsing and perusing Clavitt. Just now coming up to turn 12. That is where everyone's at the moment. Now approaching turn 5 and 6. Are the race leaders. Blowers ahead of Thompson. Spiel ahead of Pennell. Sassick down to 5th. Parkhurst in 7th behind Mark Kissenweather. Braille, Apperson, and Susie, your top 10. See some of our whiteout shots here. Capture more of the streets of Chicago. Trouble further back. Zach Apperson's had some issues. Ended up running a little bit wide there in turn number 11 and dropped out of the top 10. Bailey Thompson trying to keep up with Bobby Blowers and struggling to do so. Already a second gap between the 96 and the 27. Dance around through turn 5 and 6 one more time. Abbreviated stage 2 that ends on lap 30. And 20 cars on the lead lap as things currently stand. And trouble further back. Mark Parkhurst in significant trouble. Ooh, that is out of turn 7. Looks like Mark Kissenweather involved in that as well. So the Mark and Mark show hit an abrupt stop in turn 7. Cali Heights sent it through, got through in the 87 car. Latency between the 90 and the 87, making it hard to follow this battle. And trouble, Josh Susie. Spun around, final corner. That's turn 12. A little bit of damage on the front end of that 24 car as well because of tagging that inside wall, that pit lane roll. And he will drop out of the top 15. Flowers just at the fast lap of the race, 129.05 for the 96 car. The lap time there on the bottom of your screen. Done some pretty good work so far. Trouble, Zach Apperson has had a little bit more trouble here. Apperson and Brent Roberts. And Brent Roberts toes to pit lane. Here's what happened. Brent Roberts had his Zach Apperson there. This is into turn 7. One of the heavier braking zones on the racetrack, and Roberts just sends it in way too deep. Not the only one, though. Apperson nowhere for him to go, trying to blow up there. Looks like Parkhurst also involved in that. Sorry, that's not Parkhurst. That was Hunter Peach. Hunter Peach and Austin Mongold and Zach Meredith all involved in that. Susie down the pit lane. He was trying to come down pit lane and spun on his own accord there, so not a good day for the 24 as things sit. Henderson's also had another crash, and that car completely destroyed. A lot of cars that look like just scrap metal at this point. Not the case for Blowers, who leads the way by 1.8 seconds. Coming to the final corner now. Thompson still steady in second. Smeal in third. Cody Pennell top four. Mark Kissenweather rounds out your top five right now as things stand. Again, it has been drama in stage two. Josh Susie, his race negatively impacted. His chance of contending, while slim, still existed up until now. It is now gone. Josh Gaiman now the first car a lap down in 19th place. Car in the fence, that's Blake Galloway. Number 5 machine. Right there on the entrance turn 5. He's trying to find a good way to get back and rejoin the race here. And he'll do so here. Race that has devolved into Calvin ball pretty quickly. Bobby Blowers has mastered it. Cody Pennell just had his personal best, a 129.54 second lap. He's in 4th place at the moment. Doing a pretty good job right now in the top 4 as well. Again, a little bit of experience. He raced in the HTL Cup Series race here a couple years ago, back in 2023. So he does know a little bit about how to get around the streets of Chicago. Same with Jeremy Bray out there in 6th. There's been all eyes on the 96 car since early on in this race. Qualified 3rd. Grabbed the race lead when Tucker Sawyer and Mark Kissenweather clobbered each other in turn 2 in stage 1. Susie, I think his day is effectively out and done. And it looks like it is. And here's a look as to why. This is Zach Meredith in the 17 car. Spins it. That is in turn 8. Susie's day already done before that point. What happens to the 24, Josh Susie? Oh, just overdrives it big time there and just gives up from that point. So Blowers leads the way. Bailey Thompson in 2nd as her teammate clobbers the wall and just tagged David Smeal Jr. Little bit of fender damage on the 54, but not enough to negatively impact at the moment. We'll see how that plays out across the rest of the stage. That ends on lap 30. unfortunately, as we see so often in HTL, drivers that probably need to park it just won't. Everyone trying to think points when you're outside the top 20 and you've only got one top 10 finish, unfortunately, is not going to do you very well here. Hyatt's had an issue, but right now sits on 14th. So overall, not a bad recovery for the 31 car. Caitlin filling in relief of KJ Gibney. And trouble. Whoa, Blowers. Blowers in trouble. And that is a spin out of turn 2. That gives Bailey Thompson the lead of the race. What happened to Bobby Blowers? Turn 1. Hits turn 1 just fine. It's all in turn 2 here that loses Blowers the lead in stage 2. Just way too hot and, ooh, huge impact, mostly to the rear of the car. And Blowers drops down to 4th with significant rear end damage. And he has struggled again, this time in turn 7. And it is unraveling in stage 2 for the 96. Now under threat from the 8 of Cody Pinnell. And now it's in the hands of 27 of Bailey Thompson, who in her HTL career has never won a stage. Is 3 laps away from doing so if she can hold off David Smuit Jr. and Mark Kissenweather. This is a 27 car that has largely struggled to replicate the results we saw at the end of last season when Thompson went on that back-to-back top 5 tear to end out the season there in season 6. Has not been able to replicate that with any level of success this season so far until today. And right now leads the race. And unlike at Michigan, where it comes down to a game of chance, a lot more in control in the hands of the drivers here at Chicago. Thompson, good on road courses. We saw this in the VRR Super Cup. In the rain at Watkins Glen, battling against former HTL Cup Series driver and race winner Bianca Constantinou, as Kissenweather and Smeal hit the wall. Both of them in the wall hard. They pile drive turn 8. Flowers back in the conversation for second, but Thompson now leads by almost 4 seconds, and a bunch of cars damaged here in stage 2. Flowers will end up back in second. But it is trouble in stage number 2. 2 to go in the stage. And everyone giving this race away. On the ovals leading up to this race, this season, there's been a lot of accidents, a lot of drivers that have lost talent, but there has been a group of drivers that have been consistently near the front, that have been working to win races. You look at Patrick Overstat, you look at Pacey Wygen, you look at Mark Kissenweather, you look at some of the drivers, David Smuit Jr., who was on the podium at Texas, battling for the podium here again. But in very awkward circumstances here, it has been a case of who messes up the least. Trouble for Kissenweather, loose wheel spin at a turn 6. Hits the wall, and these are Toyotas that are well past their optimal conditions. trying to hang on. You can see the damage on both the 54 and the 2. Cody Pennell up the 3rd. Jeremy Brailt's looking at a top 5, and they continue to hit the wall here. Smeal struggling to get this car in working order. Kissenweather's giving up the ghost here. He can't fight. He cannot fight Braillt. He cannot fight at this point to stay ahead of that 74 car, who has been very cautious. Braillt, when it comes to road courses, obviously Braillt and ovals can be a nightmare to race against. On road courses, he knows where his limits are, and he races to them. He doesn't race beyond those limits. He's one of those drivers that he knows where his 100% is, and he knows what happens when you go over it. And because of that, he is now in the top 5, looking at 4th, with an easy chance to grab more stage points here on the last lap of stage 2. All he needs to do is wait for Smeal to mess up again. Smeal's got no drive out of turn 2. Brailt's going to pick that one off pretty easily. There's Gayer in the 19, not on the lead lap at this point. He is a lap down. Kelly Thompson entering turn 8. 1.8 seconds to Bobby Blowers. Bobby Blowers keeping this tighter than it should be, given the damage on that 96 car. Vorndren down pit lane. Out of the final corner, it will be Bailey Thompson for the first time in a race, HTL Cup Series career, a stage winner. And that'll end stage 2. Blowers in second. Cody Pennell, Jeremy Braillt, and David Smeal Jr. hold on for the top 5. Kelly Height makes it back into the top 10 at the end of the stage to score some more stage points. And this is going to be a very ugly round of pit stops here. Josh Gaiman is the last car on the lead lap, so he will get the free pass here and join the lead lap queue in 17th. Matt Vorndren, emergency pit stop. Pit lane typically closes within 2 laps of the stage finishing. Vorndren coming down for emergency service will stay down pit lane for a long period of time. But Bailey Thompson, for the first time in her career, wins an HTL Cup Series stage. It is stage 2 here in Chicago. Oh dear. Thompson, Blowers, Pennell, Braillt, and Smeal, your top 5. A very interesting result here in stage. Kissenweather in 6th, Eli Sastek 7th. Casey Wygen, Elias Flores, and Kelly Height, your top 10 in the stage point scorers. As we get ready to line up for stage 2 here, we got pit stops coming up here in this halfway break. There will be green flag pit stops in stage 3. It's a matter of when for most of the field. Gaiman, he will get the free pass as the field makes its way to pit lane for some more pit stops. See that race out of pit lane. And Blowers wins that race off pit lane ahead of the 27. So Blowers wins the battle off pit lane. Cody Pennell stays third, Brayout in fourth, Pacey Wige in your top five. Mark Kissenweather taking some repairs. Likewise, so is Davis Mill Jr., Caitlin Height, Hunter Peach, Chad Swatsworth, and Dean Clavin. We'll step aside for a couple minutes here while we're under caution at the halfway point to end stage 2. Sort of get a refreshment break, stretch our legs, and get ready for this final half of the race. See who wants to survive the best here in the streets of Chicago. Don't go anywhere, more racing to come in just a moment here. It's HTL and ABN. Welcome back, everyone, to the streets of Chicago, the HTL Chicago 220. 2 stages down, 1 final stage to go here in Grant Park. We're glad you're with us here on ABN for HTL Cup Series action, race 8 of the season. By Blowers and Bailey Thompson at the front of the field. Flowers dominated stage 1. Bailey Thompson, first career stage win in stage 2. Out is Excuse me. How does stage 3 play out? We'll find out. $18 cars on the lead lap here for this restart. The green flag flies, and away we go. In trouble, Apperson spun. Track blocker there in turn 1 on lap 34. Finally happened. Took 34 laps, but it finally happened. The track blocker in turn 1. Apperson got spun around 3 wide. The carnage passed on from there. Car spun there. I believe that was Chad Spotsworth. Mark Parker spinning. Everything's sort of falling apart here in the opening part of stage 3. Flowers under pressure from Thompson. Flowers did not get repairs done in that stage 2 break. Neither did Thompson. Cody Pennell in third, challenging for that second spot. Flores top 5 at the moment. Braille in 5th. Kelly Height in 6th. Very interesting how this is playing out so far. Still a lot of changes possible for this outcome here in Chicago. Flowers, obviously, the most neutral outcome. Not a full-time driver, filling in as a relief driver for Olivia Pereira. Would help the 96 out in the owner's standings, but ultimately wouldn't make a dent in the driver's playoff at all. With how Pereira's first 7 races have gone, they've not been impressive. I'd argue at this point with Flowers' performance right now in the 96 car, despite the damage, it might call on a little bit louder voices to maybe replace Pereira to have another car in a top contending status. Whoa, Cody Pennell sends it into turn 5. Locked it up. Was going for the race lead, over ambitious. Checked up Bailey Thompson, and Elias Flores moves up to 3rd. Mercifully, at this point, Blake Henderson's day is done. The 25 car back in pit lane. His day is out. And I believe that was about 20 laps too long of a wait for that confirmation for the 25. He will slide and down the order from 24th down to what will eventually be, if I'm not mistaken, about 28th. Here comes Cody Pennell battling for the race lead. with Blowers. Cody Pennell wants the race win. This is where it gets a lot more interesting. Blowers not a contender for the Drivers' Championship under any circumstances. Missed the first 7 races. Not really able to do anything with that. Cody Pennell, very capable of making the Drivers' Championship playoffs and being in that contention. Just took over the race lead. Tags the wall hard, though, out of turn 6. That's hurt. That's going to be painful. Cody Pennell leads. Then it's Blowers, and then Elias Flores, who drops back down to 4th behind the 27 of Bailey Thompson. A lot of drivers looking for their first career HTL Cup Series win. Blowers looking for his second. Callie Height up to 5th. Caitlin Height in 6th. They're right there in together. The 5th and 6th, and Jeremy Braille in 7th. Matt Forngen's day officially done and over with mercifully. 81 has come to a stop. Same with Dale Markowski. And Cody Pennell, he has said, see you later, bye, to Bobby Blowers to the tune of a second in 1 lap. Cody Pennell, Bailey Thompson, Elias Flores, Callie Height, all looking for their first career HTL wins. Unfortunately for Callie Height, doesn't do anything. Not racing full-time this season in the 87. For Elias Flores, it does a lot. For Cody Pennell, it does a lot. For Bailey Thompson, it does everything. Flores, not a full-time driver by principle, but does a majority of the schedule in the 99 car, so is playoff eligible in that car. And I say is loosely. He just tagged the wall out of turn 7 and drops down to 8th. So not great there for Flores. Cody Pennell controlling the pace for Carolina Beagle Racing as he leads the way in the number 8 machine. Carolina Beagle Racing have been really good. Patrick Oberstadt, 2 race wins. Bryn Roberts, a race win. They've been pretty good the first 7 races. This would give them half of the 8 races run so far. Other 4 races won, respectively, Chad Swatsworth, Mark Kissenmother, Pacey Wygent, and Zach Apperson. As Pennell leads the way here in the streets of Chicago. It would serve him very well if he could hold on to this race win. We'll take a second here to sort of show you what we're talking about. We talked about this in the pre-race. Worth bringing up here, but this is entering tonight's race. This is before stage points or anything decided. Look at the top 12 and how many of those cars have been involved in issues. Roberts involved in issues. Kissenweather involved in issues. Patrick Oberstadt, his day effectively done early at this point. Only did 26 laps. He is 25th. Pacey Wygent, he's had a very rough day so far, to say the least. Wygent down in 10th at the moment. Stephen Oberstadt's not had a great day. Tucker Sawyer, his day done early. Tucker Sawyer classified 33rd. Eli Sassick hanging in there. But this is largely the picture that doesn't matter at the moment. Everyone in the top 12 on points that's where you want to be if you're trying to rely on the points. Your race wins don't matter. The second page is what does. Lily Sharp missing the night's race. Josh Schultz crashing out early. Braille in this top 5 conversation. Cody Pennell, 17th. Outside looking in right now. Apperson has the first get-out-of-jail-free card. Sitting 19th in points. He's got a race win from Talladega. Cody Pennell can give himself that same insurance policy with a race win here. You see Bailey Thompson, 18th place as well. These are drivers that need this desperately, and they're not going to have many opportunities to do so going further on in the season. This gives them a chance to be a dark horse in the Drivers' Championship playoffs in the new year. And again, Cody Pennell entering this race outside the top 16, 17th in points, Thompson 18th. A race win guarantees that if you're the top, if you're one of the top 4 drivers out of the top 12 with a race win, you are in the playoffs. Obviously, you want to be top 12. For some drivers, top 12 just isn't possible. I genuinely believe for Cody Pennell, a top 12 is possible. He's got the talent. We've seen it over the last 5 years on ABN screens across everything in ARCS or here in HTL. We know how good he can be as Billy Thompson tags the wall hard and is under threat now from Jeremy Braille and Callie Height. And the lights beginning to shine a little bright on the 27, your stage winner from stage 2. Going on to 3rd at the moment. Bailey Thompson, stage win here, first stage win of her career. She's someone who has oodles of potential. We've seen that potential on display. Again, into last season, top 5 run, back to back to back to back to back. One of her best runs in her career, period. She just never fulfills it, unfortunately. So the question is, can Thompson make the top 16 again? Made it in barely last season. The field's tougher this season than what it was last season. It's tougher. So it's a harder hill to climb. Thompson's got to do better. Obviously, a race like right now, sitting 3rd with stage points, helps a lot. But you need to back that up with races elsewhere. You need to back that up with a good result next week at Charlotte. You need to look at these ovals that should be layups for Thompson. We know how good she is. But when you look at what's actually on paper, you look at the results on paper, Thompson, not a championship contender. Cody Pennell just might be. Jamie Braille looking for his first career HTL Cup Series win. A champion in ARCS. Again, we know what he can do. We know what he's capable of. He's been on the podium multiple times in HTL. Battling for it again here. Looking at 3rd. This is a battle for 3rd. Braille left Callie Height in the dust. He knows what he can do. And he's not a road course ace. Braille's definitely not a road course ace by any stretch of the imagination. But he knows what he can do. Callie Height holding off Eli Sasek for the top 5. Kaylin Height struggling quite a bit in that 31 car. Now having a lot of fun in that car, filling in for KJ Gibney. Right now sitting in the 8th spot as things currently sit. Casey Wygent in 9th, Hunter Peach in 10th. As things currently stand. 15 cars on the lead lap. Next car to go a lap down will be David Smeal Jr. Josh Arnold just went a lap down. You saw him there in the background, getting passed there by Bobby Blowers as well. Except for Josh Arnold, the top 20 would be a win, and he's currently sitting 16th, so I think he is pretty proud of himself right now. Still going here with less than 20 to go in Chicago. Again, this battle for 3rd has a chance to get spicy pretty quick. Another thing about these two drivers, Thompson and Braille, both of them can be hot-headed. We see that quite a bit from both of them, too. I think Josh Arnold getting out of their way. Yes, he is. He knows where his fight is. His fight is to continue to scavenge off of the drivers that make mistakes in the later stages of this race. Cody Pinelli, 1.6 second gap over Bobby Blowers. It is fingertips away between Braille and Thompson for the third spot. The last step on the rostrum here in Chicago. But remember, we also still have pit stops to make under green. In this battle, there's a couple battles going on the racetrack. It's one for third, one for fifth. Cali Heights kept Eli Sasek at bay most of the day here in Chicago, trying to hold on to that fifth spot. For Cali Heights, this would be her third top five in her career, if she can hold on to it. Sasek right on the bumper of the 87 here. He wants a way through. Cali Heights better on the road courses in general. Sasek a better stock car driver, though, in this battle for the top five. Sasek has been in the championship conversation before. He's been a dark horse. He squandered it on a couple of occasions, but he's been in that conversation. Cali Heights never been in that conversation, and won't be running part-time, only running all the way until December. Only has another month of racing. Front, but now continues to lead. The gap has shrunk. It's down to 1.3 as the ebb and flow continues on. Likewise, a battle for ninth place. Three cars in this fight. Hunter Peach, Pacey Wygant, Josh Gaiman. All in that conversation. Coming to 15 laps to go. Whoa, trouble! Sasek just drove Cali Heights into the wall. Oh my goodness. And I will be surprised if that is not a penalty for Eli Sasek. Sasek up to fifth in a controversial way, dumping the 87 for that fifth spot. That'll likely be a 20-point penalty. So he'll end up losing more than he gains out of that. But unfortunately, it came to that. Ascent Racing not making their case any better for being the least liked team in HTL. Front of the field, it's still Cody Pinelli leading the way, trying to work around one of the lap cars here. believe that is Dustin Hall. It is. Thompson in third is repelled and kept Jeremy Braille at bay for the most part here. It is stabilized out this battle for third. Kayla Hyde, Elias Flores battling out. This is going to be interesting. And I believe that was Sasek. It was Sasek. A little bit of karma. A little bit of karma for Eli Sasek, and he has jumped to the pit lane. And that'll do his day in. So Callie Hyde ends up back in the top 5, albeit with a lot of damage on that number 87 machine that she's got to nurse the rest of the race. What happened to Eli Sasek? This is going into turn 1 pretty well and truly clear. Way too hot on the brakes there in the braking zone for turn 1. And I believe that damaged the rear suspension of the car, so he was having trouble getting into gear. Yeah, that car not moving in any particular fashion. Wow. Meanwhile, Caitlin Hyde has made her way around the 99 of Elias Flores. So Sasek's day is done. And so too is his chance to get a top 10 here in Chicago. Callie Hyde returns to the top 5 with a very wounded race car in 5th. Caitlin Hyde in 6th. Elias Flores in 7th. Gaiman 8th, but very far behind in this conversation. Not really a part of it yet. About 10 seconds adrift. Meanwhile, we did miss, while we were looking at the replay, we missed the pass for third. Braille has gotten ahead of Bailey Thompson. So Braille to the point. Got some battling going on here in Chicago with coming to 12 laps to go. The drivers that are racing this out are having a pretty good battle here. Pinnell trying to stay ahead of Bobby Blowers. The rear damage on Blowers' number 96 car, I think, doing him in on the long run here. I was surprised he didn't try to get into that repaired, because this Gen 7 car, built for road courses more than any other car in the history of the Cup Series. It has a flat floor. It has a diffuser in the back of the car. For those that are familiar with ABM Champ car, a flat floor with a diffuser, very important for aerodynamics and for mechanical grip for these cars. When that's damaged, all of that goes away, and with that goes some of the control that you have at the back of the car. This is 670 horsepower that we're dealing with here on the streets of Chicago. So that becomes difficult, and it doesn't become difficult in a way that it's harder to handle. It becomes slower. It becomes difficult to handle, but not in a traditional sense. It's not one of those things where it's squirrely loose. It's just harder to predict when that piece of work is damaged. And that's what we're seeing right now, is Blowers is struggling long-term in a full run to keep that car underneath of him because it's harder to predict with the damage on that car. Remember, he got that damage late in Stage 2. A Stage 2 that was abbreviated, only half a tire run. He had not been able to run this deep into a tire run to feel what that damage would be like later on. And you're seeing that really in play here. He's given up multiple seconds now to Cody Pinnell, who is waltzed away at the front by now 3.5 seconds. Jeremy Braille has a chance to grab second place here. And what Bobby Blowers has to be careful of now, obviously he's been very few and far between on the mistakes. And the smoke you saw there was Blake Henderson. He tried returning to the racetrack and crashed in turn 6. So he's back to pit lane now, not learning his lesson from the last 5 times he hit the wall. And Thompson overdriving, trying to keep up with the top 3. Tags the wall in turn 7. Caitlin Height's gotten around Callie Height. That was a pretty easy one to kind of guess on that one. Callie Height's car just not in a good state at this point. So Caitlin Height returned to HTL Cup Series after 7 races away and sitting top 5. Not a bad effort. Battle for second raging on between Blowers and Braille. Blowers in the 96, Braille in the 74. It is the only close battle on the racetrack at the moment. I think we have a battle that potentially might be raging between Wygant and Peach. That's for 9th, but they are not close enough for that to be a significant battle just yet. We'll see if that changes. Looks like it might be changing here, so we'll pivot to that battle between Peach and Wygant. 2 Toyotas battling it out. The 00 Wygant, a race winner already this season. The 20th Peach needing a race win outside the top 20 in points right now as things sit. And again, I need to emphasize this. These races do not get easier. Charlotte next Monday, Atlanta after that, Pocono, Kentucky, and then Sebring. Not easy, that stretch of races, and those races are important. Crown Jewel race on November 10th, that next Monday in Charlotte. A lot of eyes going to be on December 1st. ABN's home playground for a lot of different reasons. Very heavy heart for December 1st. That'll be a very important race. Sebring, road course ringers back in full force once again, December 8th. You have to capitalize when you have opportunities, and very few drivers have been able to do so tonight. Cody Pinnell has done the best of the bunch. 4.5 seconds the gap. With less than 10 to go, he's got lap traffic ahead. But he knows he's got the advantage right now on the 96 and the 74. Someone he's very familiar with in the 74 car across years and years of racing and ARCs together in the HTL Cup Series. What was once Saturday Night Showdown. That was a car running in really deep. That was Dustin Hall that ran really deep and tagged Dean Clav as a result. Josh Gaiman, pit lane, and that is day done for the 19 car. Josh Gaiman's day is over. That's unfortunate. Running in the top 10. Now will not be able to see it through. Battle for second rages on. The battle for what is now 8th place is widened out after a mistake from Peach. Tagging the walls for Blowers. He's pushing. He's pushing as hard as he can. Gaiman's day officially done. That is confirmed. He will drop down the order here in Chicago. very unfortunate. He did a really good job recovering from that lap 1 incident with Caitlin Height. Both of them recovered nicely. We're in the top 10, running well. And trouble! Car in the fence. That is Galloway. Blake Galloway, who is not in contention for a position. He is scavenging for points, whatever he can find. He is right now sitting in the 17th spot. So he's just sort of in his own little land. Flowers and Braille makes pretty quick work to get around him. Coming to 7 laps to go. Thompson struggling again. Tagged the wall there at 12. Pull up this track map. Not as many cars circulating as what we saw last time we had the track map up on the screen. Survival of the fittest to a dot is what we've been seeing here tonight. This battle for second continues to rage on here in Chicago. Flowers got a little bit loose, a little bit touchy at a turn number 7 to turn 8. More lap traffic, that's Apperson. I want to grab a lap on board here with Jeremy Braille. We'll wait for him to come out of the final corner and jump on board with him. Pretty juicy battle we got going on here, coming to 6 to go. And this is the only battle for position on the racetrack at the moment. Everyone else pretty well distanced from each other at this point. Running on board. Braille got right to the bumper of the 96, laid on the brakes. Ooh, very close. Very loose. Tagged the wall there at 2. Taking it easy there through 5 and 6. Turn 7 coming up. Second heaviest braking zone on the racetrack. Tiptoes through it. Oh, really slow exit at turn 11 for Flowers. Here comes Bray out to the inside, turn 12. Flowers will have the better exit lane. But Braille gets clear and moves up to second with 5 to go. Now he's got to hold on to it. Very patient there, trying to get around the 96. Hit his marks and got the job done. Now he's got to stay that way for the next 10 miles. The retirements will look pretty huge here in Chicago. Points will be pretty topsy-turvy after tonight as well. It's going to be fun following that in preparation for the BFL 500 next Monday. A little over a second between himself and Blowers here. And I think that kind of does it for that battle for second place. Blowers will come home in third here tonight if things hold station for the next 4 laps. Next battle up here, and Cali Heights been trying to hold on to the 6th spot for a while. Elias Flores has finally caught up with 4 laps to go. What happened to Jeremy Braille? What happened to Jeremy Braille? He just lost second again. What just happened? Oh, Cody Pennell pit lane. Cody Pennell pit lane could not make it on fuel. That's what we were thinking. No one's made pit stops here in this stage, bar David Smill Jr. Cody Pennell splash and dashed. He will come back out in the top 5. Flores got around Cali Height. But there are pit stops potentially waiting in these next 3 laps. Blowers and Braille. Can either of them make it without a pit stop? Billy Thompson now in the mix. What is happening here in Chicago? Do you think that maybe Blowers was saving a little bit of fuel and let Cody Pennell waltz out to the lead that he had? Maybe. Or are the 3 drivers, top 3 right now on your screen, in a load of trouble coming to 2 laps to go? We're going to find out. Remember, Cody Pennell splash and dash to get back out in the top 5. Two to go. This is going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out. Braille right back to the bumper of the 96. Watching this all play out. Very interesting. See how this evolves. They're going to give it everything they've got here in the final lap here in Grant Park. Braille knows he can beat him. Got around him, worked his way around him. He's got to do it again, though, and it's going to be very hard to do it again and have that same measure of patience. Coming to the white flag, 1 lap to go, presented by Southern Cleaning Company. Braille thought about sending it in turn 1. Doesn't. And they both overdrive and tag the wall hard. So does Thompson. All 3 do. Both blew the braking zone heavily. They are racing to the finish. Looking to to see God of the checkered flag. Oh, hard hit Blowers in the fence. And that's going to damage the car, and that car destroyed. Brayout now has to defend from Thompson for the next half a lap. Blowers' car destroyed. He's going to try to limp home to hold on to third, but it's going to be difficult. Kalen Height coming up on him. Bailey Thompson trying to grab a race win. Bumpers to the 74. And Braille's going to make sure Thompson didn't see the corner, and they crash! They crash! Huge crash! Contact between the 74 and the 27 from stage 2. Being a race winner, throwing it away here in stage 3 and getting it back in controversial fashion. 1 corner to go for Bailey Thompson. In a finish that'll be reviewed after the race. Unofficially, Bailey Thompson is going to grab a first career HTL Cup Series win and take the streets of Chicago. Caitlin Height ends up second on her return to HTL, and Cody Pennell rounds home for third. And the 2 most dominant cars at the end of this race will see 4th and 5th at the line. Flores and Callie Height round out 6th and 7th. You saw them cross the line. Pacey Wygent on an island will come home in 7th. We'll keep their microphones muted for the moment because there is a lot of shouting over the radio at the moment. Not very appropriate for airtime here. 9 cars end up on the lead lap at the end of this race in what has been very carnage-filled. And everything that's going to be covered from here on out while we watch the rest of these drivers come across our finish line. Davis Mill Jr. will be the last driver to finish on the lead lap. Everything we talk about here is going to be unofficial. And I'm going to preface this heavily unofficial, because there will be a lot to review for the HTL officials in this race before we get to Charlotte next Monday. Davis Mill Jr. finishes 9th on what seems to be the least controversial of those on the lead lap. Bailey Thompson, unofficially your race winner, following heavy contact between the 74 and the 27. Braille ends up top 5 in this exchange. Blowers ends up 4th after wrecking on his own. Leading up to that, Cody Pennell finishes 3rd after having to splash and dash for fuel. Caitlin Height rounds out 2nd place. And Bailey Thompson grabs a career win that may or may not count for points in the playoffs. It may not do anything for the 27. Penalties can be severe in instances like this, so we temper expectations. Thompson going to be ecstatic, but there is the expectation that some of this is going to be called back. And it will not ultimately help the 27 as much as she had hoped here on the streets of Chicago. A celebratory moment tinged in controversy in typical HTL fashion here in Atlanta as Thompson runs out of fuel. Her teammate, Zach Apperson, trying to push her to the start, at least trying to push her to the start-finish line, if not to pit lane. Not going to be able to do any burnouts here. And it looks like several cars trying to help out here. All these cars damaged in one way, shape, or form. It is pretty ugly at the moment. That is Apperson, that is Smeal, that is Meredith behind the 27 of Bailey Thompson here. Your race winner. And this is going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Everyone trying to get Apperson and Meredith decide they're going to go ahead and help each other get back to pit lane. and Thompson will park on the start-finish line, out of fuel, but able to win the race here in Chicago. Again, we need to tinge this with a level of expectation and temper sort of everything down here. As important as this first win is for Billy Thompson, it is controversial, and typically what ends up happening here is that these don't end up counting for the playoffs, which would not help Thompson out at the slightest, especially if there's a points penalty on top of it. Jeremy Braille would have something to share with that as well. So we'll go over your results here in Chicago. Again, reminder, unofficial. All this is unofficial. Typically, results don't change position. Race wins can be encumbered, meaning they don't count for the playoffs. And there can be points penalties as well. We've seen that happen. We've seen both happen in results like this. Saw this happen last season as well. Not the first time. Billy Thompson grabs the race win. That's in the record books right now. That could change. But right now, that's where we're at. Caitlin Height, second place. Doesn't seem like that would change in and of itself unless Thompson did something to be disqualify worthy, which would move Caitlin Height to a race winning position. Would not matter. Caitlin Height, a part-time driver this season, not playoff eligible, would not help. Cody Pennell, tentatively in third. Again, unofficial, needs to be highlighted here. By Blowers, Jeremy Braille, top 5. Very controversial, all of that final lap, especially between the 27 and the 74. That'll be investigated tonight post-race, so stay tuned for that. Elias Flores, Callie Height, 6th and 7th. They duked it out. Elias Flores got the better of Callie Height in her wounded race car. The incident with Callie Height and Elias Flores, or not Elias Flores, Eli Sasek, the other ascent car, will be investigated as well tonight. Pacey Wygent, 8th place. Pretty innocuous. That 8th place finish for Wygent could change hands, could move up a spot or two if the investigation proves that it needs to be. Davis Mill Jr., 9th place. Last car on the lead lap. Hunter Peach, a lap down. Watched it all unfold in front of him. He let the field go by on the back straightaway going into turn 7. Zach Apperson, Mark Parkhurst. We saw Zach Apperson help his teammate to the start-finish line. He finished 11th tonight. Mark Parkhurst in 12th, also a lap down. Josh Arnold, Zach Meredith, Blake Galloway, your top 15. Just pushing as hard as they could just to get to the finish line. Josh Arnold, 13th place, Chicago. That's a win for him. He started 25th. Meredith from 30th to 14th. Not bad for him either. Galloway, 29th to 15th. They all started from the back of the field, moved the way forward. Great job for them. Just trying to stay out of the way. Dean Clavitt, Alfred Denny, Shad Swatsworth, Josh Gaiman, Eli Sasek. Round out your top 20. Once you start getting down here, you look at retirements. You look at Swatsworth being, I believe he was the last finisher in the race here. Gaiman officially out. Sasek out. Kissenweather out. Henderson out. Hall out. Steven Oberstadt out. Both Oberstadts out of this race early. Dale Markowski, Matt Vorndring. There's Patrick Oberstadt, 27th. Randy Payne out early. Josh Susie rage quitting after making 2 unforced errors and costing himself a race here. Bren Robertson, 30th. Austin Mongold out early, no surprise. Kevin Feemster out early. Tucker Sawyer out early. Surprise of many people, fumbling himself out of it. Same with Josh Stoltz. Ascent Racing and Josha Racing having a very hard time today. Richard Odie, 28th place, but he typically doesn't do road courses. Tonight's no different there. 2 laps completed for him, started parked, and moved on with his day with Charlotte coming up next Monday. Points made up at this point until we get official confirmation as to who's where, what penalties are being issued out. I'm assuming there's going to be several here tonight. It's going to be very interesting. I'm not going to bother looking through some of the the radio transcriptions on that final lap because who knows how that's going to be. We are, though, going to interview our top 3. And again, heavy preference on this. Heavy highlight on this. Everything that we're talking about right now, unofficial, and can change between tonight and next Monday at Charlotte. That being said, 3rd place, Cody Pennell, did have a pretty good run of it. A splash and dash ends his chance for a race win. But 3rd place, all things considered, could be a lot worse here in Chicago. Cody, walk us through it.
Yeah, thank you. No, I hate that I had to pit there at the end for fuel. I made the rookie mistake of leaving my auto fuel on for that last pit stop, so 2 laps short. There was no way I was going to make that up here. I had pretty good speed on the long run, I thought. I didn't know if Bobby was saving any. or what he was doing. But I felt like I had the track figured out pretty good and just had to make it to the end there, but didn't have enough fuel. So needed a good points day though, because it's been pretty rough lately. But so yeah, I'll take that and move to Charlotte.
Obviously, this is a track that's been present. Obviously, coming from the the RX Square Cup Series, this is a track that's been on that calendar before. You race with some drivers that have been on that racetrack before. Jeremy Braille was in contention there at the end as well. A lot of familiarity there, especially among the team that you had with you here. That being said, it seemed like you were the only driver in the Carolina Beagle squad that actually had this track figured out here. What was the magic for you getting this track figured out here in a way that not many else could, especially on the Chevrolet camp? It was pretty difficult.
I think, like you said, having those laps here in A squared from over the summer or whenever that was, that definitely helped a lot. And I upgraded my pedals this week too, so I had been using some pretty bad ones for a while, so that was a big help. Yeah, just familiarity with the track, because this track is really hard as far as braking points go. You really had to drive it almost by feel in a lot of the areas. So yeah, just that was probably the deciding factor there between where I finished and where they finished.
And it worked out for you here. Again, third place helps you out significantly. You entered this race 17th in points. You'll gain a significant ton here tonight going into Charlotte, the next crown jewel race coming up here next Monday. Charlotte coming up here a little bit more back to normal, back in the team's wheelhouse as far as the intermediates and how successful that team has been. Is there optimism in being able to carry this forward? The 8 cars had pace, not had a lot of luck. Does that change maybe with a result like this?
I hope so. I really do, because the previous 2 weeks I had been running in the top 10 in stage one, and then just no fault of anybody's really, just get taken out or collected in something, and with no fast repair, you're just basically milking the rest of the race. So I'm hoping that that doesn't happen at Charlotte, because I think that's the longest race on the schedule. That would be pretty miserable. Just hopefully get in there and get some more stage points and keep climbing up the standings, because yeah, like I said, for a while there I dropped pretty low. So we'll move on to next week and try to carry the momentum.
That being said, it's going to be a very busy month of November coming up here. We got Charlotte. After that, it's Atlanta. Home race for you coming up here in 2 weeks' time. Pocono and then Kentucky after that. Going to be a lot of fun watching this team try to gab some of those points and get back in the top 8 and top 12 in points, if that can be done here going into the wintertime. Before we let you go and get ready for the races coming up here, obviously a lot of prep for A Squared for next year, a lot of prep for next week in Charlotte. If there's anyone that pops up as far as you want to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I got to thank Steven for letting me drive with the team. He put together a really fun team. We have fun in the chats, and that makes a lot of the difference for me. Just being able to cut loose and have fun in the chat. So huge thanks to him. David Smil for the paint. Yeah, all of Carolina Beagle. We all kind of rely on each other for track information and stuff like that. So appreciative of all those guys, and appreciative of you for the broadcast.
A fantastic job for the Jack Daniels number 8. Third place here for Cody Pennell, going into Charlotte with a little bit of momentum in his pocket and hopefully a little better luck going into the second half of the regular season. Cody, congratulations.
Thank you.
That was Cody Pennell, the third place finisher tonight. We move on to a driver who stepped in last minute to fill in for KJ Gibney in the 31 car, winningest driver in HTL Cup Series history on the heels of a Super Formula Championship from the Bolt Racing League. A wild race from lap 1 to lap 60. Caitlin Height finishing P2 tonight here on the streets of Chicago. Caitlin, walk us through it, because you were back in a pretty bad deficit early on with that contact with your former teammate.
Oh my God. Okay. So the whole turn one incident, the hood kept trying to like flip back.
Yeah.
So I had to limp it all the way back to the pits, get it as much repaired as I could. And once I saw the hood got bolted back on, it's like, I can't go another lap down. So just ripped it out of the pits. And from there, yeah, it was just really climbing my way back up. Start of the final stage there, I got actually got some, I don't know if it was right rear wheel damage or left rear wheel damage. It was somewhere in the back end, so it wasn't as important, but I could tell it sort of affected the car a little bit, I think, in the right-handers. But from there, it looked like everyone was starting to save fuel in front of me, so we were all on top of each other, and I said, frick this. So I pitted, got fuel, so I knew I could make it, and just, I'm balls out. So I got held up a little bit by a few lap cars here and there, and if I'm counting it right, probably cost me a good 8 seconds at the very least throughout that entire final stretch. So add that back on, I might have won. I don't know what happened in front of me with the top 3.
A lot. We'll leave it at a
Yeah,
lot.
that's their business. But to step in for Kevin here, KJ, and just grab second after the start of this night, how it went. Hopefully he's pretty proud of that. I didn't get stage points for him, but I mean, he can't complain that the paint scratched because there really wasn't any.
Well, I mean, and yeah, we're looking at the paint on the car right now, the 31. That was pretty bare bones, given the last second nature and given the throwaway nature of this race. Probably for the best that car wasn't prepped and ready to go. Obviously, first race back here this season, you were in the Bolt Racing Lead Super Formula Championship, won the team's championship with Chrissy, Christina Ryan, for those that maybe aren't familiar. That being said, we know that you're going to be doing a few more races with filling in for various drivers. What are the plans for you coming in? Is there any plan for you to race Charlotte next week, or what's the next time we're going to be able to see you here on Monday nights?
I'm not really sure. I'm just really gonna come out, have fun, try and win the race. That's the ultimate goal. Right now, I'm sorry, I'm staring at the cheesesteak on the pedestrian bridge. But so I'm starting to feel a little bit hungry, but that's neither here nor there. But still, yeah, I just want to go out there and have fun and really just, as I said, try and win. It's just an adventure at this point.
Well, obviously, it's always exciting to see you on the racetrack, whether it's in here in HTL, wherever we end up finding you here. So obviously, a well done drive back to second place here in Chicago. And whenever we see you next, I know we're going to see a lot more quality from whatever car you're going to be driving in the field. That being said, before we let you go and let you enjoy the rest of your Monday night, if there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Congratulations on an amazing recovery drive and a second place finish on your return to HTL.
Thanks. Want to give a big shout out to Kevin for having the faith to put me in the car and hopefully not give him too much of a heart attack after turn 1, lap 1. Shout out to Blake and the admins for putting all this on for everybody. You up in the booth and everyone in chat. Big shout out to Susie, Gaiman, Callie, Smeal, Peach, everyone that was sort of working together there tonight. I want to give a special shout out to Rivers. I know they were watching here tonight, and hopefully they had fun watching. It was wild out there. Oh, and also big shout out to Chrissy. Love her lots for the whole Super Formula season.
A fantastic job for the 31 camp here tonight. Caitlin High filling in for KJ Gibney gets a second place here in Chicago. Kaylee, obviously, again, welcome back to HTL. Glad to have you back on the track in whatever capacity we can get you on Mondays. And I know we'll see you again at some point here soon. So enjoy it and congratulations again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And then we'll move on to the final driver that we need to interview in controversial fashion, and it's going to be controversy all over the ending of the race. We'll get there at one point. We said this was going to happen. It finally does. Billy Thompson, a first career race win in a race that no one was looking forward to. Walk us through it.
Good evening, Carmen. Let me just say, This has been very fun. For starters, I did no practice. I have been out of state this whole weekend, so I was just relying on all of my track knowledge, which worked out pretty good, I can't lie. But I mean, Bobby was super fast that whole run. I was just kind of in his footsteps, watching what he was doing, trying to save fuel. I was shocked with how fast they were trying to save fuel. I know Cody couldn't make it, but with Bobby and Brailt's pace, that was insane how fast they were trying to save fuel.
It was very interesting watching this race as it played out here. Obviously, the stage 2 win helps out, gets the track position, big time here for you. We know how good you are on the road courses. We saw that in VRR Super Cup, racing in the rain at Watkins Glen, for example. You can put your elbows out and do some work here on the road courses. You talk about everything as far as just the pace and how everything was sort of laid out there. Everyone fumbles over it. Obviously, you had some mistakes as well. That car was not clean before the final lap.
Nope.
But able to keep yourself in range as other drivers fell away. Tucker Sawyer crashed out of the lead. Josh Stoltz crashed out of the lead. Bobby Blowers crashed out of the lead. It happened over and over and over and over again. Mark Kissenweather crashed out of the lead. Keeping yourself in range, what was the mental factor keeping you in that conversation? Because it was very easy, and we saw this with most of the field tonight. Once one incident happened, it snowballed. It didn't seem to affect you the same way. And that's not often that happens. We've seen the 27 car unravel a lot over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It didn't happen here. What was the big difference in that?
My amazing teammates, Dustin Hall and Blake Henderson, they just kept me on my rhythm. They just kept telling me, you're fast. Keep your rhythm, and it worked. They just kept me calm, and I think that's really what got me across the line, was just being able to stay calm.
And obviously, it works out here. You become the second driver from that team to win a race this season behind Zach Apperson. And it's a very much needed result. It looks like that's going to be confirmed. At least the race win, whatever penalties come is whatever. But the race win's going to stick. That's going to be in the record books for you. Your first one's out of the way. We say this so often. Usually the second one comes a little bit easier. Charlotte next week doesn't get a lot more important than that as far as crown jewels in the standing in the series. What is the optimism now of being able to continue this form now that you figured out the mental aspect of trying to get across the finish line and grab these race wins? Does that make Charlotte a little bit easier, knowing that you have the ability to replicate it?
Yes, very. I know I got great teammates around me once again, so they can get me fast. So now that I know that I can win, let's go get some more.
A fantastic job for the 27 camp tonight here in Chicago. Obviously, a lot of things going to be up for investigation. We will follow that up on Monday in Charlotte. So we'll leave that where it is here and let everyone have a chance to sort of share their sides next Monday pre-race for Charlotte. Before we let you go, though, let you celebrate your race win and sort of just enjoy the moment here. If there's anyone to shout and say thank you to, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Of course. First, I want to say thank you to my dad. I know he's no longer with us, but he's the whole reason I wanted to race. So every day that I do this league, it's for him. So I'm finally glad I can check it off for him, and I hope he's proud of me. But I cannot thank my teammates enough. Blake Henderson, Alfred Denny, Dustin Hall, Zachary Apperson. They're incredible. They're just incredible. I love every single one of them. They make racing here enjoyable. Want to thank my sponsor, Nate Blankenship, for sponsoring this car. So glad I could get a win for you, buddy. And thank you to everyone who's believed in me.
An outstanding job for Bailey Thompson here tonight. Race winner in Chicago. A wild and very physical race here on the streets of Grant Park. Bailey Thompson, first career HTL Cup Series win, going into Charlotte next Monday for the BFL 500. Bailey, enjoy it, and we'll see you again next Monday.
Yep, thank you.
And as we mentioned, obviously, a lot of things going to be under investigation from the incident at the end of the race between Bailey Thompson and Jeremy Braille. It's been confirmed Bailey Thompson's win will stand. Whether or not that means anything for the playoffs will be determined at a later point here this week. But the race win will stand. The results will not be adjusted terribly from there. And as we mentioned, the top 12 at the top, Bailey Thompson, Caitlin Height, Cody Pennell. We talked to all three of them. Cody Pennell, splash and dash, took himself out of the battle for the race lead, which helped contribute to what happened on the final lap here between Bailey Thompson, Jeremy Braille, and Bobby Blowers. Bobby Blowers, sort of just a bystander, collected in it. Caitlin Height collects the second place as a result of that calamity. Cody Pennell ends up in third. Bobby Blowers, Jeremy Braille, Elias Flores, Caitlin Height, Pacey Wygant, Davis Beal Jr., and Hunter Peach, your top 10 here in Chicago. And it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out going into Charlotte. Crown Jewel next Monday for the BFL 500. Very interesting slate of races the next 5 weeks. Charlotte, Atlanta, Pocono, Kentucky, and Sebring will all be on the docket here in the HTL Cup Series. On behalf of everyone here for the HTL Cup Series, for all of its partners, Henderson Graphics, Southern Cleaning Company, and everyone here at ABN Studios, I'm Carmen Sienna. Thank you for joining us for a wild and wacky race here in Chicago. We'll see you next Monday in Charlotte for the BFL 500. Stay safe and stay healthy. So long, everybody.